Olympic Mind, a blueprint for peak performance under pressure. Introduction to the champion's edge for you. It is a battle fought 10,000 hours of training. 6 inches. The hopes of a nation resting on a single set of this phenomenon highlights the fragility of comprehensive analysis demonstrating that consistent execution in trainable force does not guarantee success. It will explore the science of choking contenders, but unlock the power of vision. What allows some to thrive under the immense weight of global expectation, while others, despite possessing equal physical gifts, falter when it matters most. We have all witnessed it. The shocking collapse, the performance failure colloquially known as the choke. It is not a sudden lack of skill or a random fluctuation in ability. It is a battle fought and often lost in the 6 inches between the ears. This phenomenon highlights the fragility of expert performance, demonstrating that consistent execution in training does not guarantee success in crucial moments. But what if the secrets of the Olympic mind were not secrets at all, but a set of trainable skills? What if it were possible to harness the same mental tools that champions use to transmute the leaden weight of pressure into the gold of peak performance? This report deconstructs the blueprint of the Olympic mindset, offering a comprehensive analysis of the psychological framework that underpins elite achievement. It will explore the science of choking, unlock the power of visualization and mental rehearsal, detail strategies for emotional regulation and mindfulness, and examine the process of building unbreakable resilience. Ultimately, it will translate these elite strategies into an actionable toolkit for conquering pressure in any high-stakes environment, from a critical business presentation to a final exam, providing a guide to unlocking one's own peak performance. The mental gauntlet, the Olympic pressure cooker, the sheer weight of expectation. The Olympic stage is a crucible unlike any other. It represents the apex of an athlete's career, where years of relentless sacrifice, personal investment, and the collective expectations of coaches, family, and an entire country converge upon a single, fleeting performance. This immense psychological load is a well-documented reality for elite competitors. Gymnast Simone Biles, one of the most decorated athletes in history, articulated this feeling with poignant clarity. I truly do feel like I have the weight of the world on my shoulders at times. I know I brush it off and make it seem like pressure doesn't affect me, but damn, sometimes it's hard. This is the essence of the Olympic pressure cooker, a scenario where the perceived stakes are so high that they can become a debilitating force. The choke phenomenon. Why the best falter? In the lexicon of sport, choking is a term often used but frequently misunderstood. It is not merely a poor performance. Sport psychologists define it more precisely as an acute and considerable decrease in skill execution and performance when self-expected standards are normally achievable, and which is the result of increased anxiety under perceived pressure. It is the paradoxical moment when an athlete, who is highly motivated and fully capable, performs significantly worse than their established skill level, precisely because the desire to succeed is so overwhelming. A stark recent example of this demonstrating holding a commanding foreshot in training does not guarantee success. With the gold medal seemed firmly within his grasp. But what if holding a commanding foreshot was a catastrophic 7 holes remaining? Rom shot a 39 firmly within his grasp. What followed was a catastrophic collapse. Rom shot a 39 on the back 9, a score riddled with bogeys and a double bogey, which not only cost him the gold medal, but knocked him off the podium entirely. His subsequent reflection revealed the internal experience of the choke, tying his performance directly to the weight of expectation. I not only feel like I let myself down, but to just not get it done for the whole country of Spain, it's a lot more painful than I would like it to be. This illustrates a key trigger for choking: the fear of negative evaluation and the pressure of letting others down. Beyond physical limits, the neuroscience of choking. The physical symptoms of choking are visceral and immediate: a tightening of the muscles, increased heart rate, shallow breathing, and a general feeling of being overwhelmed. These physical manifestations are the result of complex neurological processes triggered by perceived pressure. Neuroscience and sports psychology offer two primary explanations for why this occurs. The first is distraction theory. This model posits that high-pressure situations create a flood of internal and external distractions, worrying about the outcome, the score, the crowd, or the consequences of failure. This cognitive noise overwhelms the brain's working memory, which is essential for attention and decision-making. The mind becomes a second, competing task, disrupting the primary one of performance. The second, and often more devastating mechanism for highly skilled athletes, is self-focus theory, also known as paralysis by analysis. Through thousands of hours of practice, an elite athlete's skills become automated. These complex motor patterns are stored as procedural memory and executed by subconscious brain regions like the basal ganglia and motor systems, operating fluidly without conscious thought. However, under intense pressure, the conscious, analytical part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, hijacks this automated process. The athlete begins to actively monitor and control movements that should be effortless, breaking down a seamless action into a series of clumsy, disconnected steps. This creates a debilitating paradox. The very process that forges an elite athlete, the automation of skill, is what makes them uniquely vulnerable to this form of choking. A novice performer, who must consciously think through every step of a skill, is less disrupted by this self-focus. For an expert, whose performance relies on the skill's seamless integration, this conscious interference is catastrophic. As former Olympic table tennis player Matthew Syed described his own experience of choking, "It's like you've reverted to being a beginner again. The integration of all the moving parts of the body becomes decoupled and it just looks pretty hideous." The athlete's greatest strength, their automated expertise, becomes their Achilles heel. Visualization and mental rehearsal. The inner game Olympic champions' secret weapon. If the mind possesses the power to dismantle a performance into the gold of it also holds the key to constructing a victory. This report deconstructs the among the most the Olympic tools in the Olympic mental arsenal, comprehensive visualization of the psychological framework that an estimated 70–90% of Olympic athletes incorporate this practice into their daily training regimens. This is not simply idle daydreaming about pressure cooker. It is a disciplined, structured form of mental rehearsal. The Olympic stage is designed to prepare the mind and body. It represents the apex of an athlete's career, competition, where years of creating a mental blueprint, personal investment, and the collective expectations of coaches, family, and an entire country converge upon a single, fleeting performance. This involves mentally rehearsing a desired psychological load is a well-documented reality that it engages multiple senses. Gymnast Simone Biles and physical one of the most decorated athletes to create an experience articulated as realistic with poignant clarity. The most powerful application of this like I have the weight of the world beyond simply imagining a perfect outcome. I know I brush it off and make it seem like pressure doesn't affect me. This principle was demonstrated in legendary fashion by swimmer Michael Phelps from the mental gauntlet 2008 Olympic final exam. The sheer weight during the final of the 200-meter Olympic stage is a crucible unlike any other. Eventually filling completely the mental gauntlet of an athlete and rendering him effectively blind in the pool. This immense psychological load is a well-documented reality for elite competitors and derail their race. Gymnast Simone Biles, however, one of the most decorated athletes in history, under the guidance of his coach Bob Bowman, poignant mentally rehearsed this exact scenario. I truly do feel like I have the weight of the world on my shoulders at times. He seamlessly switched. I know I brush it off and make it seem like pressure doesn't affect me. To know precisely when sometimes it's hard. Ha ha ha. He not only won the race. This is the essence of the Olympic pressure cooker. A scenario where the perceived stakes are so high that they can become not a debilitating race, but also, the choke phenomenon. What if things don't go well? Why the best falter? This practice programs the nervous lexicon of sport. With a preloaded choking effective response is a term often used but frequently misunderstood. The conscious mind it is not merely a poor performance. Sport psychologists define it more precisely rewiring as your brain an acute and the efficacy of visualization is grounded in neuroscience. The brain does not sharply distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When an athlete mentally rehearses a skill, The brain activates the same neural pathways and sends similar electrical impulses to the muscles as it would during actual physical execution. This is explained by the psycho-neuromuscular theory, which posits that this mental practice strengthens the neural circuits associated with a specific movement, effectively building muscle memory without physical strain. This process creates a robust mental blueprint that makes the desired actions more familiar and automatic. By repeatedly running these simulations, athletes are essentially pre-programming their minds and bodies for success, enhancing coordination, confidence, and emotional regulation. This reveals a deeper truth about elite mental preparation. The most effective visualization is not merely a form of positive thinking, it is a sophisticated form of proactive problem-solving. By mentally stress-testing their performance against potential adversities, like Phelps's broken goggles or a sudden mistake, athletes build adaptive resilience. This transforms visualization from a simple confidence booster into a powerful inoculation against the very pressures that cause choking. It is not about hoping for the best. It is about being comprehensively prepared for the worst. Emotional regulation and mindfulness. Staying centered, under fire. Mastering the adrenaline surge. The intense pressure of competition triggers a primal fight-or-flight response, flooding the body with adrenaline. This results in a cascade of physiological changes, a pounding heart, tense muscles, and a racing mind. While many interpret this state as debilitating anxiety, elite athletes learn to perceive it as readiness, a sign that the body is primed for action. The objective is not to eliminate these feelings, but to regulate them. The key is to reframe the physiological arousal from a threat into a source of focused energy, effectively turning down the volume on the emotion rather than trying to switch it off completely. The power of the present moment. The most effective antidote to the anxiety of future outcomes and the regret of past mistakes is mindfulness. This practice involves intentionally anchoring one's awareness in the present moment without judgment. For an athlete, this means shutting out the external roar of the crowd and the internal chatter of doubt, focusing exclusively on the immediate task, the next breath, the next step, the next play. This state of intense present moment focus is often described as being in the zone or achieving a flow state, where performance feels fluid and effortless. Techniques for instant calm. Olympians employ a range of practical, scientifically backed techniques to achieve this state of calm focus. The most direct and powerful of these involves the regulation of breath, which provides a direct interface with the body's autonomic nervous system. Breathing exercises. Deliberately controlling the breath can rapidly shift the body from a state of high arousal stress to one of calm readiness. Slowing the rate of the exhale in particular has been shown to slow the heart rate and activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's natural relaxation mechanism. Olympic champions like cyclist Laura Kenny and swimmer Michael Phelps have spoken about using specific breathing protocols to manage pre-race nerves. The following table outlines 3 highly effective techniques. Table 1. Champion's Breathing Toolkit Technique. How to do it. Box breathing. Inhale for a count of 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 4 seconds. Exhale for a count of 4 seconds. Hold the breath out for 4 seconds. Repeat. This method is famously used by Navy SEALs to maintain calm and focus in high-stress combat situations. 48. Breathing inhale quietly through the nose for a count of 4 seconds. Exhale slowly and completely through the mouth for a count of 8 seconds. The extended exhale is key to triggering the body's relaxation response. Diaphragmatic breathing. Place one hand on the chest and the other on the belly. Inhale deeply through the nose, focusing on allowing the belly to expand outward while the chest remains relatively still. Exhale slowly. This is the body's most efficient and calming method of breathing. Self-talk strategies. The second critical tool is the management of one's internal dialogue. elite athletes actively curate their self-talk, using it as a tool for instruction, motivation, and focus. This can be seen in countless high-stakes moments, such as when gymnast Laurie Hernandez was seen whispering the simple, powerful mantra, "I got this," before her gold medal-winning balance beam routine. These are not just hopeful affirmations, they are cognitive cues designed to direct attention and reinforce a deep-seated belief in one's preparation and ability. As track and field Olympian Kelly Wells stated, "If you think you can't, you won't, and if you think you can, you will." These techniques, breathing, mindfulness, and self-talk, do not operate in isolation. They form an interconnected, synergistic system for mind-body regulation. A physical action like diaphragmatic breathing directly influences a physiological state by calming the nervous system. This physiological calm creates the necessary mental space for a cognitive strategy, like a positive mantra, to be truly effective. The athlete first uses the body to quiet the storm, then uses the mind to navigate the path forward. Resilience and post-performance. Reflection, bouncing back stronger, learning from setbacks, failure as data. In conventional thinking, failure is often perceived as a definitive endpoint, a final verdict on one's ability. The Olympic mindset radically reframes this perspective. For an elite athlete, a setback is not
This
a
model
conclusion.
posits that high-pressure situations create a flood
It
of
is the
internal
beginning
and
of a
external
process of
distractions,
analysis,
worrying about the
adaptation,
outcome, the
and
score, the
improvement.
crowd, or the consequences
This mental
of
shift
failure.
is a cornerstone
This
of
cognitive
resilience,
noise
the capacity
overwhelms
to
the
adapt
brain's
positively
working
to
memory,
adversity,
which is essential
and
for
bounce back
attention
from
and
challenges.
decision-making.
As
The
Olympic
mind
champion
becomes a
swimmer
second
Simone
competing
Biles
task,
articulates,
disrupting the
failure is part of success. If you don't fail, you won't ever know what success is. The mental recovery
and the pressure
process.
of letting others down.
This ability to bounce back is not an innate
Beyond
trait,
physical
but
limits,
a learned process.
the neuroscience of
It
choking.
involves three key
The
stages.
physical symptoms
First,
of choking are
acknowledging
visceral
the emotional
and immediate.
impact of the
A
setback
tightening of the
without
muscles,
judgment.
increased heart rate,
Second,
shallow breathing,
analyzing
and a general
the
feeling of
to
being
identify
overwhelmed.
correctable errors and
These
lessons
physical
learned.
manifestations
And third,
are the result of complex
decisively
neurological
shifting focus
processes
toward future
triggered by
preparation
perceived
and
pressure.
the next opportunity
Neuroscience
to perform.
and sports psychology
This
offer
process
two
was
primary
famously embodied
explanations
by
for
American
why this
gymnast
occurs.
Carrie Strug
The first
at the
is distraction
1996
theory.
Atlanta Olympics.
This model posits that
With the team
high-pressure
gold medal on the
situations
line,
create a flood
Strug
of
fell
internal
on
and
her
external
first vault
distractions,
attempt,
worrying
sustaining
about
a
the
severe
outcome, the
ankle
score,
injury.
the crowd,
In
or
that
the
moment of
consequences
apparent
failure.
disaster, she
This
demonstrated
cognitive
an
noise
extraordinary
overwhelms
mental
the brain's
recovery.
working memory,
Instead of
which is
succumbing to the
essential for
pain and
attention
disappointment,
decision-making.
she reframed
The
the
mind
situation
becomes a
as a
second
final
competing
challenge to be
task,
met.
disrupting
With the
primary
encouragement
one
of her
performance.
coach, she executed
second
her second
and
vault,
often more
landing
devastating
cleanly
mechanism
on one
for
foot
highly
before
skilled
collapsing.
athletes is
Her
self-focus
score
theory,
secured the gold
also
medal
known
in
as
what remains one of the
paralysis
most
by
iconic
analysis.
displays of athletic
Through
resilience
thousands of
in
hours
history.
of practice, an elite
Growth
athlete's
mindset.
skills become automated.
In action,
These complex motor
Strug's
patterns
performance
are
is
stored
a
as
powerful illustration of what Stanford University psychologist Carol Dweck identifies as a growth mindset. This framework contrasts two core beliefs about ability. A fixed mindset assumes that talent and intelligence are static, innate traits. In this view, failure is a direct and permanent indictment of one's capabilities. A growth mindset posits that abilities can be developed through dedication, effort, and learning. From this perspective, failure is not a verdict, but an opportunity to grow. It is the crucial difference between the internal statement, "I am a failure," and "I failed at this task, and I can learn from it." The simple addition of the word "yet" to a statement of inability, "I can't do this yet," is a powerful tool for shifting from a fixed to a growth orientation. Elite athletes with a growth mindset actively embrace challenges, seek out constructive feedback, and relentlessly work to address their weaknesses. They understand that mastery is forged through effort, not bestowed by talent alone. This allows them to persevere through the inevitable setbacks inherent in the pursuit of excellence. Deeper analysis reveals that this resilience is not merely a reactive psychological state, but a proactively trained capacity. It is forged through deliberate and systematic exposure to adversity. Michael Phelps's coach, Bob Bowman,
intentionally created challenging situations in practice, such as hiding Phelps's goggles, to prepare him for unexpected race day problems. Similarly, Katie Ledecky's training philosophy involves pushing herself to the point of catastrophic failure in practice to expand her limits, making the pressure of actual competition feel more manageable. This demonstrates that the Olympic mind is actively hardened through a process of stress inoculation, not just possessed of an inherent toughness. The Olympic mindset for everyday life. Applying these strategies beyond sport, the psychological principles that enable an athlete to perform under the lights of the Olympic Stadium are not confined to the world of sport. They are universally applicable human skills for managing pressure and optimizing performance. The same mental toolkit can be translated to navigate the high-stakes moments of everyday life, whether in the boardroom, the classroom, or on a public stage. Cultivating mental toughness, your actionable toolkit. The strategies of the Olympic mind can be systematically applied to common civilian challenges. The high-stakes presentation. The pressure of public speaking often stems from a fear of judgment and the unknown. Instead of solely rehearsing content, one should also engage in visualization. Mentally walk through the entire presentation, from stepping onto the stage to the final applause. Crucially, incorporate coping rehearsal by visualizing potential challenges, a tough question from the audience, a technology failure, and then picturing a calm, confident, and effective response. This proactive problem-solving builds familiarity and reduces anxiety. The crucial job interview. The physiological symptoms of anxiety, a racing heart, sweaty palms, are common before an interview. Rather than fighting these sensations, one can regulate them. Employ box breathing or 4-8 breathing for 60-90 seconds prior to entering the room to physically calm the nervous system. Reframe the nerves as excitement and readiness. Arm yourself with a simple, powerful self-talk mantra like, "I am prepared and I belong here," to direct focus and reinforce confidence. Recovering from a setback, e.g., a failed exam or project. A poor result can easily trigger a fixed mindset response, leading to self-criticism and demotivation. To counter this, consciously adopt a growth mindset. Treat the failure as objective data, not a personal verdict. Analyze the process. Where were the weaknesses? What could be improved? Create a new, informed plan of action based on the lessons learned. This reframes the setback from a dead end into a stepping stone for future success. The true victory, mastering your mind. The enduring lesson from the world's greatest athletes is that the most formidable opponent and external and the most powerful ally worrying about reside within the score, the crowd, the pursuit of excellence reveals that the ultimate cognitive noise is internal, overwhelms the brain's while gold memory, medals are tangible symbols for attention and decision-making. The most valuable and lasting victory is the mastery over one's own mind, disrupting the primary one of performance. This internal mastery, as expressed by and often more devastating mechanism for highly skilled athletes, is not about defeating others, is self-focused but about continually becoming a better version of paralysis by analysis, a victory that is accessible through thousands of hours of practice. The pressure of life's challenges will always become automated, but armed with these complex motor patterns are stored as procedural memory and executed by subconscious brain regions like the basal ganglia and motor systems, operating